I wasn't planning to write tonight, not after the silence that followed the 5 p.m. deadline, not with search crews still moving carefully through the foothills near Tucson, not with speculation swelling online and worry settling heavily over everything connected to Savannah Guthrie and her family. But then the phone rang late Monday morning. The voice on the other end belonged to someone I've trusted for years, someone who has stood in the same control rooms and hallways as Lester Holt for decades. Lester spoke this morning, they said quietly, off the record, about Savannah, about her mother. That alone was enough to make me pause. Lester is not impulsive. He measures words for a living. If he chose to open up privately, it meant something had been weighing on him. What I heard next wasn't scandal. It wasn't gossip. It was perspective, deeply human, layered, and impossible to ignore. A private conversation at 30 Rock. The conversation reportedly happened in a small conference room at 30 Rockefeller Plaza. No cameras, no producers. Just 5 longtime colleagues listening to a man who has guided the nation through some of its darkest hours on NBC nightly news. Those present described Lester as composed but visibly tired. He didn't speak in headlines. He spoke in reflections. He began by acknowledging something many viewers have felt but struggled to articulate. Watching Savannah these past days feels different. Not because she's faltering, but because she isn't. I've anchored through tragedies most people couldn't imagine, he reportedly said. But watching someone you know personally endure something like this changes the weight of it. It wasn't analysis of an investigation. It was recognition of a pattern he had observed for years. And that pattern, he suggested, explains far more than the public sees. The blueprint she carries. According to those in the room, Lester spoke about Savannah's upbringing not as criticism, but as context. He described a mother who valued resilience, structure, and forward motion, especially after personal loss early in the family's life. That environment, he suggested, shaped Savannah profoundly. Emotion wasn't ignored, he reportedly explained. It was postponed. Handle the task first, process later. In a newsroom, that mindset becomes a superpower. In personal crisis, it becomes instinct. When something destabilizing happens, Savannah doesn't unravel outwardly. She organizes, she frames, she communicates deliberately. Lester's point wasn't that this is unhealthy or unnatural, it's that it's ingrained. The composure viewers are witnessing now isn't an act, it's architecture. It's the result of decades learning that strength is the safest response when the ground shifts. Reading between the statements, Lester reportedly walked through the public timeline, how Savannah waited before speaking, how her first message felt structured, how gratitude came before urgency. Some interpreted that as media training. He suggested it runs deeper. Never react, respond, was the phrase he attributed to the kind of guidance she internalized growing up. In moments of chaos, she gathers facts. She avoids impulsive language. She chooses precision over emotional release. Viewers may wonder why there are no visible breakdowns. But from his vantage point, that steadiness reflects habit, not detachment. She is doing what she has always done under pressure, compartmentalizing, filing away fear until the immediate objective is addressed. In this case, that objective is obvious: protect her family, support investigators, communicate clearly. The grief can wait. That's the reflex. The "we will pay" moment. One detail Lester reportedly revisited was the now widely discussed phrase, "we will pay." To many, it sounded resolute. To others, restrained. Lester framed it differently. In high-stakes journalism, clarity matters. Ambiguity fuels chaos. Saying something plainly can be an attempt to control at least one small piece of an uncontrollable situation. He didn't interpret it as emotional distance. He saw it as focus. She speaks like she's presenting a case, he reportedly noted, not as accusation, but observation. That courtroom precision is part of her background, part of her temperament. When fear rises, she tightens language. She simplifies. She removes excess. That doesn't mean desperation isn't present. It means desperation is filtered through discipline. The audience hears steadiness. The heart behind it may be anything but calm. Strength and its cost. Perhaps the most striking part of Lester's reflection was not about Savannah's public image, but about the personal cost of sustaining it. People see composure and call it strength, he reportedly said. They don't always see the energy it takes to maintain it. Holding steady while millions watch is no small task. Doing so while navigating private uncertainty requires extraordinary internal regulation. Lester's concern, as described to me, wasn't about whether Savannah can endure. It was about how much endurance costs over time. Even resilient people have limits. Even disciplined minds grow tired. The ability to compartmentalize is powerful, but compartments fill up eventually. His tone wasn't alarmist. It was compassionate, a recognition that visible strength often hides invisible strain, and that both deserve acknowledgement. The mother-daughter thread Lester reportedly emphasized something that feels universally relatable. No matter how accomplished someone becomes, they remain someone's child. The dynamic between parent and daughter does not vanish with professional success. It evolves, but it lingers. When that bond is threatened, it touches the earliest parts of identity. He didn't suggest that love in that family was conditional or lacking. He suggested it was intertwined with high expectations, expectations that cultivated excellence. Many families operate that way. Many children internalize it as motivation. But in crisis, motivation can transform into pressure. The desire to handle this well may carry emotional layers outsiders can't fully appreciate. His reflections didn't seek to dissect private relationships. They simply acknowledged that upbringing shapes response, and response shapes what the public now sees. A different kind of faith. Another element Lester reportedly mentioned was faith. Savannah has spoken publicly about her beliefs before. According to those present, Lester noted that her faith appears rooted in endurance rather than surrender. That perspective often encourages perseverance. Keep going, trust, act responsibly. In moments like this, faith can be both anchor and obligation. It reassures while also reinforcing the idea that strength is virtuous. Again, this wasn't framed as critique, it was context. When belief systems emphasize steadfastness, it becomes natural to embody that steadfastness visibly. Viewers might expect visible despair. Instead, they see controlled hope. That contrast can confuse people who equate grief with outward collapse. But grief wears many faces. Some are loud, some are quiet. Compassion over commentary. Lester reportedly ended the conversation with a simple request: hold compassion at the center. Let investigators work. Let the family breathe. Resist turning human complexity into dramatic narrative. Whatever personal dynamics exist, the immediate reality is straightforward. People are hoping for resolution. The public can analyze tone and timing endlessly, but at the core of this story is uncertainty and longing. Lester, a man accustomed to telling other people's stories, seemed intent on protecting this one from distortion. He didn't present secrets. He shared perspective. And perspective, when grounded in empathy, can soften the harsh edges of speculation, seeing the whole person. Watching Savannah now, it's worth remembering that public composure and private vulnerability can coexist. The woman delivering careful statements is the same woman navigating fear out of sight. Strength is not proof of absence of pain. It is often evidence of containment, and containment is rarely effortless. If Lester's reflections accomplish anything, perhaps it is this: they remind us to see the whole person. Not just the anchor, not just the daughter, not just the figure at the center of headlines, but the human being balancing duty and emotion in real time. Wherever this story leads, one thing remains true. Compassion costs us nothing. We can extend patience instead of judgment. We can allow complexity without sensationalizing it, and we can remember that behind every composed public face is a private heart, navigating far more than we will ever fully understand.